Today we're going to focus on the takeaway. We're going to talk about the faults of some of our takeaways that we have and what that results in. We'll give you some ways to fix those so you don't struggle as much there. And then we're also going to talk about some drills towards the end of the video that I've had a lot of success with helping people with their takeaway, because no matter how we look at it, the takeaway plays a big role in the golf swing. There are a few guys on tour like Jon Rahm, Matthew Wolff, Jim Furyk, that they had unique takeaways, all right? But when you can almost count them on one hand or under 10, that's a very small percentage of really successful golfers that don't have that typical Tiger Woods, Adam Scott, Rory McIlroy takeaway, all right? So we're gonna focus on what the traditional takeaway is that you would see from a tour player, not the kind of offbeat move. And I'll give you some parameters of what's safe and what is unsafe with those takeaways. If you are brand new to our channel, I hope you subscribe. We appreciate that. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed today's content. And hopefully today you can start to get your takeaway a little bit better, so it also helps improve your golf swing. So each takeaway that I'm going to do is kind of an occurrence of what I see most often when I give lessons. So the first one that I come across with is a lot of us struggle with rotating, or we're just limited in our rotation. So it becomes kind of handsy. And the first move is to roll the face open, all right? And so when the face opens, we know the ball likes to go right, and then we create all sorts of bad moves on the way down. So if you get to the top and your face is open, not very many people can just close it back down. Most people throw it over the top to try to close it. So if you automatically started swinging over the top and you don't know where it came from, it could be just your face is open in the takeaway. So when we take it back, you can see that my right hand gets underneath. Okay, so the first thing that you need to feel is when you take it back is you need to feel like you're basically shaking somebody's hand. Versus underneath, you're shaking somebody's hand. If you think about having like a card in your deck, right? You're gonna hold on to that card until you can kind of see it on the ground. You don't want to show your playing partner in front of you, okay? So that would be the first fix to help you with that face rolling open and kind of getting behind you, is make sure that you shake somebody's hand or don't show the player in front of you your card that you're holding in your hand. The second very common fault when people take the club back is their left arm pushes the club back rather than the right side pulling the club back. So it kind of looks like this. The left side pushes, club is stuck behind. You can see the arm pins to my chest. That right arm kind of goes out behind me like I'm trying to start a lawnmower. Okay, so that is a common fault because it's not rotation, it's just pushing. Okay, so what I want you to focus on with that, and this one is a hard one, this one takes some time, is I actually want you to feel like you start the club out here in front of you, all right, and you're just going to feel like your right side, your lat, your rib cage is what draws the club back. Okay, so if you get that motion to feel like it draws it back, it's going to keep it out in front of you, and that arm's not going to pin to your chest. You can even hit golf balls that way, so you can kind of start it out in front, feel like the right side pulls back, and just hit little shots that way, all right? When you're training your takeaway, you want to start small and slow. If you go fast, full speed, full swing, it's just going to be normal. It's not going to transfer over to getting that takeaway better. So we don't want to have that left arm lead our takeaway, because that's going to suck power and all sorts of accuracy out of your game. So we want that right side to feel like it's pulling back. All right, fault number 3, the push and roll. So they set up to it nicely, and their first move is they push the hands forward and the club rolls away. Okay, so whenever those hands get out there, the club tends to get really high, and there's no depth in the golf swing, so then it comes down and it results in that steep swing. So a lot of these moves that we come across in the takeaway lead to that steep swing, which most golfers really struggle with. Okay, so push a roll and away. And I'll give you a drill to help you with that later, but that move is really hard because then you tend to not turn as well either when you're swinging down. All right, here's a very simple drill that you can set up for those who struggle with bringing the club inside. Just going to put alignment down, rod down, and stick one into the ground. And you're just going to practice small shots where you take the club back and you avoid hitting the stick. All right, so it's just there, back into it. All right, you can get a check your club face when you do all that stuff. And just make sure when you set up this drill, it is made for those who struggle with pushing the arm across, all right, or just swinging the club inside. All right, so this is for those types of people, not those who the push and roll or the lift away with your hands type of stuff, because that's not going to do anything. And again, it's only meant for just a takeaway, because there's no way your arms would then have to go up it, and then you'd just have to avoid it on the way down, and that is not what it's for. All right, it's just for the takeaway. So how this is set up, this is a really good drill for takeaway, for those who swing inside also, and to help you with your path and your golf swing. All right, so you're going to set it up, you're going to take your stance, put your feet together, take another stance with, and this shaft should basically match your beginning shaft line. And then you can decide how far you want the ball to kind of be away. All right, we don't ever want to encourage over the top. So if you want to put it a little bit further away, it's not a big deal. And then you can practice your takeaway, staying above it, riding up it, coming back down on top of it, all right, and then into the ball. All right, it's a little scary at first. That's why we usually put a noodle over the top of it so you don't hurt yourself. All right, but this is another good one to help you with that inside takeaway. This takeaway drill is for those who tend to push and roll or kind of lift. Okay, so you just put that ball basically right in line with the shaft there. All right, and if you push and roll, you're going to hit it. So it just encourages you to turn. Okay, pretty simple. Now, if you're finding you're still struggling with that takeaway and what your hands are doing, you can go buy, this is like a Tour Striker golf ball, or you can buy one on eBay that's a tenth of the price. You're going to put it between your forearms right here, right? Because a good takeaway when you take the club back, forearms should stay pretty much close together. They're not going to break apart or do anything strange in the backswing. So they're going to stay pretty close together. So if I put it so the little air hole is right in front, and I take the club back, air hole is still in front. It didn't roll to the top, didn't do anything weird, right? So you can practice with this little ball, or you can just go buy a ball at Walmart or whatever, something between your arms there. Eventually you can actually take full swings with this, but today is just about the takeaway. Now we're going to talk about that perfect takeaway, what it all needs to happen. Okay, first thing I want you to think of, it's right side. Okay, it's almost like your arm is pinned to your side and your right side takes the golf ball or the golf club back. Second is that idea of not showing the card too early, right? Or basically shaking somebody's hand. We want the club face to match your spine angle, whatever it might be at that point in time. All right. Now, if I do everything correctly, if I pull with my right side, don't do anything weird with my hands, all right, the club still kind of comes inside. So we need something called arm elevation, all right? Or your arms have to lift a bit, okay? So they need to have that just enough, all right? Because if I do everything right, it goes there, it's a little inside, but if I have a little arm elevation, boom, it gets right out in front of me, okay? So known too much right in between, okay? And you'll notice that my shoulders are turning. They're the main factor. The ribs, the shoulders, your chest should be the main thing that's moving the club back. Don't get too active with your hands, too active with your arms and pushing and your wrist doing weird stuff, okay? So that is a video on faults with the takeaway, right? Most of the inside faults is going to be over the top. Most of the faults when we take it away outside, again, is over the top. Basically, most of the fault is always over the top, okay? You can be inside with the takeaway, so some parameters that you're allowed to have, right? It's okay if the club's a little bit outside your hands when the club is parallel to the ground. It's It's okay if it's a little inside, as long as the face is pretty stable. All right, doesn't have to be perfect Adam Scott, but it just can't be back here or out there really weird. Okay, then it becomes too many moving parts for you to square it back up.